Not the
Merloni,
Orioles.
former big leaguer, joining us right now. Current broadcaster, knows all about this ball club. Lou, great to see you. It's been a little bit. Let's get right into it because we're tight on time. So, do you feel like there's enough pitching here for them to at least keep making noise for the next month and a half?
Yeah, only if Chris Sale comes back and is healthy the rest of the year, which is something he really hasn't been the last few years. And, Tanner Houck will be back on this next road trip. Same with Garrett Whitlock. I think they're going to use both of them, in like a 2-3 inning role. Can they both stay healthy? I mean, Houck got a line drive in the face. For the most part, he's a healthy guy, but Whitlock's had some injuries. So now, because they didn't add an arm, and that's really all they needed was an arm, just to reset a bullpen and put guys where they need to be. They didn't go get that guy. And because of that, you're going to rely on these guys coming back, not only good, but to remain healthy the rest of the year.
If you were in your job that you were in last year, before you're now working Sox games, would you still give the same answer?
Probably not. No, I'm just kidding. No, I'd be heated, and I am. It's you still are, because it was. I mean, they didn't need Verlander. They didn't need Scherzer. They needed a guy to go out there, give him 5, keep him in the game, just so they could take guys like Schreiber, who should be used in the 7th inning, guys like Bernardino, who's their best lefty. That's why you needed a starter, to put those guys in a role in the 6th and 7th inning, as opposed to starting in the 1st and then wondering how we're going to get through the 6th and 7th. And that's kind of where they've been at really for 6 weeks.
I think it's phenomenal that, they're in the race here, because in the beginning of the season, everybody pretty much wrote them off. They're like, the Red Sox, it's going to be a rebuilding year. They got rid of a couple guys here and there. What do you think the main, who was the purpose and who got this going here? I know the pitching, but is there a couple guys where you're like, they kind of took off and are kind of leading this team in the right direction now?
Well, Justin Turner, I mean, he's a guy that, when you lose Bogarts, you're like, how do you get leadership? And everybody knew the minute he walked in, he was going to be the leader of this team just because of the experience and the personality that he had. So I think he's really helped out. But the difference really is that 8th and 9th inning. Like, Chris Martin has been absolute money. Like, he has locked down the 8th inning. Kenley Jansen's come in, turned the clock back. He's throwing 95, 96, 94. He's been really, really good. So when they have the lead after, in those late innings, they finish the games, which is a complete turnaround from last year. But, a lot had to go right. You're right. Like, nobody thought this team would even compete or even have the record they have now. And a lot has gone right. Offensively, Duran, Casas, Bayo's come up, Turner, Yoshida worked. He was right on that. The back end of the bullpen, they were right on that. It's just that the injuries to this pitching staff and the lack of going out and maybe adding to that has really come to hurt them here in the last 3 weeks.
Who is going to be a better player at the end of their career, Jarren Duran or Tristan Casas?
Ooh, that is a tough one. I'm going to go with what I've seen from Jarren Duran because he's improved defensively. He is one of the most electric players in the game. Like, when I get to watch him on a night-to-night basis, however many doubles he's up to now, and I'm not even sure, 31, 32, at least 12 of them are singles for normal human beings. You know what I mean? Even just fast guys. He turns singles into doubles. He has gotten much better defensively, which is, to me, the separator, the base pass and the defense. Because Tristan, even though he's become an absolute beast at the plate since May 1st, defensively, there's a lot there to work on. Like, the first step left and right. So defensively, there's still a lot of work. Jarren Duran, the jump that he's made this year, I don't think anybody could have seen it coming.
So I played with both of these guys in the qualifiers for the U.S. Tournament, and we're practicing or whatever, and I'm looking at Tristan. I'm like, man, it's a big boy. We're taking BP. He's launching left and right, and then I see Duran come up, just stocky. I'm like, look at the build on these guys. And then you got me, just dumpy old me, trying to hit a home run all the time. But it was money because Duran batted second, he batted third, Casas batted third, and they had a little old me batting fourth, but they'd always get on base. And I think my question to you is, has Duran and Tristan pretty much solidified that they're going to be on this, have a spot from here on forward moving with the Red Sox?
Yeah, and I think it's a little different scenarios. I think Tristan had to perform, right? They put a lot on it. I mean, they pretty much avoided that position for 2 years, and it killed them. They're just waiting for Tristan Casas. They didn't want to go long-term in any first baseman. So, and he's performed offensively. And with Duran, it really came out of nowhere. Like, when Duvall went down, it was like, oh, we're going to bring this kid up. He's really struggled the last couple of years, defensively, offensively. And he just sort of took off. But I think both of them have solidified themselves. Like Jarren Duran earlier in the year had like a bad 50 at-bats. And everybody was like, that's it, get rid of him. This is who he is. He has a good start. They figured him out. Now he's at the point, he's put a really good year together to where it was just a bad 50 at-bats. Like a rookie comes up, you don't know much about him, he's a bad 50 at-bats, you get rid of him. If a veteran does that, it's ho-hum. It's no big deal. It's baseball. It's a season. And I think he's actually at the point now where if he's struggling for 40, 50 at-bats, then I think he's solidified himself.
If you go into their clubhouse, if they let you into the clubhouse and have a closed-door meeting with their players, you say, JT, you sit down, I'm going to lead this meeting. What do you tell this team to make the playoffs and then make a World Series run?
Well, I would look at the three guys you got back, and that the arms, and that's Sale, Houck, and Whitlock. And we know what these guys can do. We're not asking them to stay healthy for 32 starts. We're asking these guys to stay healthy for a month and a half. And if they do, and we can have a 13-man staff that really doesn't have any weak links, we can do some damage. Then I look over at the offense and say, now it's time to pick it up because they've really slacked here recently. Like Trevor Story coming back, I never thought he was the savior. He missed so much time. I want him to play gold glove defense. I know offensively he would struggle a little bit, but it's the arms that they desperately needed to solidify this staff. And I would just say, we've got the arms now. I know we're 4 back, and I know our schedule's a bitch, but we have played our best baseball against some of the best teams in this game. We have one of the better records, over 500, against some of the better teams. So let's take care of Detroit. Let's take care of Washington. And then let's go face this gauntlet with a healthy rotation and a pitching staff and see what we can do.
Did you see the reports, Lou, from Ken Rosenthal about how they were looking into Verlander, and then at the same time, the Marlins thought they were close to acquiring Justin Turner? One of the biggest problems I have right now with the way that some front offices are operating is they're basically making their decisions on if they're going for it, on if they can win a trade. I'm like, you should just say, hey, we're in this year or we're out this year. Not like, ooh, could we get a good prospect for Turner? Just think the way that operates, like revolving your whole season, a whole year around one player at a trade deadline is a strange approach. I'm not just picking on the Red Sox because many GMs did this. The Yankees definitely did this, and many others where they didn't know what they were doing. Don't you think that's a weird approach, and especially for fans, a bad way to kind of send a message to where you're at?
Yeah, and this has kind of been, I feel like, Bloom is building some things here, but the deadline is the last few years is when it's really kind of people have lost faith, because he hasn't gone for it. He hasn't brought anybody in. And I do believe in analytics, okay? I believe there's a place for them in the game. I think they can tell the story about why a guy struggles, why he's doing well, maybe a predictability about what's going to happen next. But when you get to the trade deadline, there's a value, some kind of metric they put on prospects. And it is one of those 6 years of cost control, versus 2 months of this guy, or 6 years of, if I got to trade 2 players, they look at it as 12 years of cost control over this player for a year or a year and a half. And there isn't an analyst in the country that'll tell you that's worth it. And that's the problem. That's where you need to put it aside. That's where you start looking at this team and this clubhouse and these players and say, yeah, I know, but you know what? We get the draft next year. We get to draft 20 new kids next year. We get to replenish our system. If we hoard these guys and we hold on to them, great. MLB pipeline puts us at 3 or 4. That's awesome. But everyone else that's 12 or 13 is there because they gave up 2 or 3 kids and they're actually in the postseason. So I'm with you, with that approach. It's got to be a balance. And it certainly needs to be, I think, in a city like Boston.
What is going to be more advantageous for the Red Sox, to miss or to make the playoffs this year? Because sometimes you miss the playoffs, all of a sudden, this booing of the Red Sox ownership, all right, we missed the playoffs. Even though we didn't try to make the playoffs, we got to really kind of push all in now. Or, the pressure that Boston fans have put on has been awesome, has been amazing. And I hope they keep it up. But if they make the playoffs, ownership can be like, look at us, look what we did. We didn't have to do anything, and we made the playoffs.
Yeah, stay the course, right? Because, and that's really what happened in 2021. It was, they got all the way to the ALCS, and it was like, we're doing the right thing. To your point, I understand it because it's one of those, if you just fall flat, if you just finish these last 46 games or whatever it is and just tank and finish in last place, there's going to be people just not going to stand for it. If you get close, it's, well, we played meaningful games, we stuck the path, and look, we still kept all of our prospects. So it's I would like to think that they get the message anyway. I would like to think that getting to playing meaningful games in Boston isn't the end game. Just getting to the postseason isn't the end game. The end game is to be one of the favorites, is to be preseason one of the 2 or 3 because you have talent, and then go out and play and then help the team at the deadline. That's what what I would like to see them get to. So hopefully it doesn't matter.
Hey, Lou, what did you think of the Yankees trade deadline? Because, hey, I'm picking on the Red Sox. What was your favorite? And I'm going to ask this to Trevino later, their catcher who's out for the year. What was your favorite pickup for the Yankees? at the trade deadline because they did so much to convince me that they really believe in this 2023 ball club.
Yeah, I don't have much choices, do I? I think it's the guy that shredded the White Sox on his way out, right? So I guess it would be
Keenan
that guy.
Middleton, that's it. So I just wanted to, obviously I'm kidding, but like Lou, for me, it sounded like there were conversations that Cashman had with GMs to try and kind of sell off some players. They end up essentially doing nothing, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
same thing. I'm like, what is your plan here? Because you did have 4 or 5 rentals that you could have traded, that you could have picked up pieces for. So you're just staying completely pat. I just never believe in that.
See, maybe this is just like the homegrown Boston in me and the New York Boston thing. But to be honest with you, I think they had so many holes to fix it, almost they couldn't possibly do it because the bats weren't available. Like, yeah, I just offensively, I look at this team, I don't even recognize them. Sox played them a couple times without Judge, and I didn't even recognize them. You know what I mean? I was trying to figure out, who was in this lineup. And yeah, they've got some pitching. Yeah, their bullpen's always good, but offensively, they needed to add a lot of pieces. So, was I surprised they didn't do anything? I was actually surprised they didn't sell off some pieces like they did back in the day, and they got Glaber for Chapman, then they got Chapman back, right? And that's kind of like a path I thought they were going to take.
Hey, my question, I'm changing gears a little bit with you here. How was it playing behind Pedro Martinez, man? I think I would love to hear what you think about him. And he's just so nasty to me. He was one of the best pitchers to ever do it. How was it playing behind him?
Yeah, to me, he was the best because of that. Playing second, playing short, back when there was no pitch comp, and I could actually see the signs and know the signs, and I could just kind of see how he approached hitters. I learned so much about hitting by watching him pitch and what pitchers wanted to do and how he wanted to attack it. Even talking to him, how would you attack me? And it was pretty simple. It was just fastball away. You got no pop, which I understood because that was me. But it was fascinating to watch, and even at the end of his career when he's 92, 93, you're thinking about this is a guy back in the day throwing 97 as a starter when guys didn't do that. Now everybody does. Changeup was one of the best in the game. Breaking ball cutter. I mean, it was just fun to watch in the compete level. This guy didn't want 5 and dive. If he came out after 7, he wasn't happy, and just the compete level he had was fantastic. He might have got us in trouble a few times. A few hits batsmen here and there, but that was something you got to live with.
Hey, last thing from us here. Eric's been whispering in my ear. He's wondering how you get the hair like that and the beard to look that good.
It looks like a men's shaving commercial.
Tell you what.
Well, they wonder if I'd color my hair. Look at my beard. It's all gray.
I like that, though. That's like the new thing going on there. I don't mind it.
Lou, let's be honest, because this is an unfiltered show. That gray right there, come on. You're putting something in there. That's not just perfectly coming in there. Like
it is. It's just the way
Lou.
It comes in. My mother always tells me my grandfather passed away at like 65 with dark hair. So she's like, maybe you're going to be lucky enough. But it comes in here. It comes in here once in a while.
It's perfect. It's like it's like you dip your, it's like I'm not going to say what you dip but your chin just goes right into the gray and you're like, all right, I'm ready to go. I'm ready to TV.
Hey, perfect.
What can I tell you? I'm lucky that way, I guess. Don't be jealous. Grow a little something.
Man.
Grow a little something.
You said the answer that Kratz didn't want to hear. I just wake up like this.
Yeah. I wake up like this, Lou. I wake up like I look like I put my head outside of a bus.
You guys all still look good.
Do we have the photo? We were ready for it? Okay. Lou, this is how we'll send you off. So our super director behind the scenes is a big Boston fan. And we brought up that you're coming on today. He is in the middle.
Yeah.
Our guy, Jeremy Meyer, right there.
Look at that. Holy smokes. See, now there's no gray in that thing, huh? I got nothing there. It's just
no, you could see, like you were the beard. It was a prospect back then. You're like, this thing is great now. It is going to age beautifully.
That was the perfect New England goatee. I think New England's the only place where the goatee still plays.
I agree.
Thank you, Kevin Youkilis and Lou Merloni.
You got it, boys.
Lou, appreciate you. Great talking to you, man.